Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV, the Joy and the Pain podcast too. Right then, today we are talking the match preview for Walsall at home to Forest Green. And talking Forest Green, Evan Smith is our man to talk to. Where is he? How are you? Hi, Evan.
Hello, Simon. Good to see you.
Good to have you with us, mate. Good to have you with us. Forest Green, we did play you in the EFL trophy. But aside from that, I want to think about what the world is like for Forest Green at the moment. Obviously, the promotion to League One was fantastic. How did you find League One?
I think League One was a very tough year after Rob going, Simon. I think after Rob went, I think the mentality shifted and it's never really come back. I don't think the players can believe that they can actually play at the level. I think that's the problem.
It was quite a disturbance, wasn't it? Rob Edwards sort of moving on. Everything's all in place, and then all your players start pulling apart, and that sort of thing. Sort of, you want continuity when you get promoted, don't you?
Absolutely, I think, yeah. But I think it was just a shame the way it was handled. I fully respect Rob. I think he's gone on and been a marvellous coach at Luton. It was just the way it was handled with the Watford owners, and they are known in the football world for being, unprofessional maybe is the right word, to be slightly PC about it.
Yeah. The Kane Wilson, he moved on, didn't he? He's been quite a loss, hasn't he?
Oh, massively. Kane Wilson was a fabulous player. The second year, certainly. First year, less so under Cooper. Cooper didn't really play him, but then the second season, he was fantastic, but he's not really got to the heights I thought he would have done back in League One with Derby. So,
yeah. So he's had his best season, I think, because he was setting up a treat for Jamil Matt, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. They were a marriage made in heaven.
We talked about him as the Matt attack, but when they played at Walsall, Matty Stevens was just coming off his ACL injury, so he wasn't really fit. And Jamil Matt didn't look very fit either. What happened with Jamil Matt at Forest Green? So I found it hard to understand why, one, they weren't playing him, and two, how they let him go.
I think in League Two is a lot more target man style football, as you'll agree with Walsall. But with League One, it's a lot more pass, isn't it? When you were at League One, you found that you need somebody who can put it in. And I think almost Jamil Matt lost out because of being in League One.
Yeah. So he's like a League Two striker, that's what you're saying, rather than a League One striker.
Yeah, I think so. I think the style is different as you go up the pyramid.
Yeah. We've been really disappointed with Jamil Matt. It's hard to say this because it's so terrible, but he's become what the boo boy sort of target. Like so much so, and it's embarrassing to say this. People boo him when he comes on the pitch as sub, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, terrible. But I think Jamil Matt's influence off the pitch is greater than it on it, maybe sometimes. I think what he offers around the club and how he influences the fans is important. And I think if he's not done that at Walsall, he will receive stick. I know he's a Walsall-born player, isn't he? But
that's right, yeah.
But obviously, something's gone wrong somewhere. But I think he's 34, 35 now. But no excuse, really. I don't get that at all.
I think he's been quite unlucky. When he came in last season, he had a couple of chances and was very unlucky not to score. And he's not really got himself going. I think he's only got the one goal. And he's just not getting into it really. When he comes on the pitch, he doesn't look quick enough, doesn't look lively enough. And with his age, obviously, you've got to be careful how you play him. You want the ball get floated into the box to him to sort of use his height and use his aerial ability. Maybe we're just not using him properly.
Well, possibly, but I think with Jamil Matt, he was more a player who held the player up, almost like we used to have with John Parkin. He was a big beefy forward. I think Jamil Matt is somebody who holds the play up very well and gets others into space. Rather than necessarily that number 9.
Yeah. Well, we have seen that when he's come on, he has held the ball up quite well. So that's what we should be looking for from him, really.
Definitely. But I hear he's had a bit of a bust up with Matt Sadler, hasn't he? That makes it even harder for him.
Where did you hear that from?
One of the videos I watched pre one of the games. I can't remember exactly where I found it now, but there was a bit of an issue, wasn't there, with him and Matt Sadler? Is that true?
I don't know when there's any truth in that. I don't know. I've not heard anything. The details I get are that everything's sweet there, but you never know. It could be that something's gone on. Jamil Matt won't be a happy bunny because he's not been playing. He's not been playing. Similarly with Danny Johnson.
There's issues there as well, isn't there?
Pardon?
There's issues there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, he's not been getting regular game time. I can imagine he'll be very frustrated. If I was Danny Johnson with my ability and goal scoring record, maybe it's unfair to expect this, but I would think that they'd be setting up the team to make the best use of me, being the highest wage earner and the most productive goal scorer. You think they'd be setting up the team for me to make the best use of me, rather than asking me to run round like headless chicken, effectively chasing round in a solo striker role.
Danny Johnson last season, though, I saw a couple of your games at the Bestcott, the Stevenage and the Rochdale game I came up for, and I thought he looked very good in those games. So but Danny Johnson has had a proven record of one season being fantastic and the next season being non-existent.
Well, I think talking with the Mansfield fans, they said he's great for the first half of the season, then he sort of goes off. And of course, last season we had him till January and he was fantastic. And then he went back to Mansfield. And now this season, he started off well in pre-season and played the first couple of games, and then he sort of drifted out of the team. And Walsall, I suppose we want the goals, but the way we're playing, we need somebody who's got lots of energy up front as well. And perhaps he's not that player, so he's the wrong player for us. One player that's been doing very well for us is Freddie Draper, a youngster on loan from Lincoln. But he's just been overused for such a young player. And he's got injury now, so he's back at Lincoln. So I don't believe he's back yet. And given the way he's been sort of exhausted to such a point at Walsall, I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln don't send him back, sort of hold on to him because of what's happened. So that's trouble. We both had a lot of injuries, haven't we? I see on the BBC site they're talking about conducting an investigation into the number of injuries on an ongoing basis. Yeah, I think we get that with League Two level. You are buying players perhaps that are more likely to have an injury history. But you're struggling, aren't you?
Oh, definitely. But a lot of the injuries we've got are recurring injuries. Like Matty Stevens has had to go for a year and a half kind of check on, but and a lot of them like that. And people like Ryan Innes were playing through the pain for 3 or 4 weeks, and even the back end of last season before they really realised what the problem is. And professional footballers don't like to complain unless they're on the pitch falling over on a Saturday afternoon.
They all say, I'm fit enough to play regardless of what's gone on. I think with Matty Stevens coming off an ACL injury, it's not untypical that he would have a follow-up injury. That's quite often the case. Walsall had a player, Harry Williams, who went over on his ankle in training. But he still played him, still started him on the Saturday, and he lasted 20 minutes. That's like, why would you play him when it needs recovery time? That's that's uncomfortable. Darnell Johnson, I think he's one that's got injured as well, hasn't he? He was on trial at Walsall. How's he done for you so far?
So we haven't seen a lot of Darnell Johnson. I personally think he's a decent player when we've seen glimpses of him, but it's only been glimpses. The Walsall game in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, I thought he was excellent in.
Yeah, he had a good game, yeah.
But that's the only time we've really seen him significantly.
Okay. Troy Deeney, now he's a player that we know very well. I'm not sure whether you know the history on that. Walsall sold him to Watford, and we've got a sell-on clause, and it was something like a 20% sell-on clause or something. And then so there's all these deals coming in, 20 million and that sort of stuff for Arsenal. And of course, Watford didn't want to give 20% away. So he ended up staying at Watford. Speaking or listening to Troy Deeney more recently, they spoke to Walsall and said, we've got an offer here of 20 million. There's no way we're giving you sort of getting on for like 5 million sort of thing for a 25% sell on. And they wanted to negotiate a reduction in the sell on fee. But Walsall declined that offer and ultimately got nothing because it didn't happen. How's he doing for you?
I think Troy Deeney is an excellent acquisition for the club, but I don't think necessarily he's, again, a bit like Jamil Matt, as we said a little earlier. I think he's more a hold-up player, target man, tactician now. Against Scarborough in the replay, he was absolutely fantastic. He held the ball up really well, got others into space, won the penalty. And I think that's more Troy Deeney now than necessarily lashing in 20, 25 goals a season.
Yeah, I think his pace is sort of slowed up, obviously. Put a few pounds on as well, looking at the video for against Scarborough. But if he's helping link up play and that sort of stuff, keeping possession upfield, then that's a good bonus, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think he's somebody who I could see being a Forest Green manager in the next 5 years. If he stays, if everything goes as it is at the moment and we don't drop out the Football League, I think he would be somebody to be the manager in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a smart move by him to go there in a player coaching role. Is smart thinking. I think he was talked about Walsall and even perhaps for the Walsall job at one point, but obviously that didn't happen. And it would have been strange him coming back to Walsall. Former players coming back is always a funny one, isn't it? Sometimes it works, sometimes not so much.
Yeah, absolutely. A few years ago, we played Swindon in a lunchtime kickoff, and Lewis Ward came back and absolutely had a blinder, the goalkeeper. And sometimes it can go either way. And I think Saturday will be interesting if Troy actually plays.
Yeah, I think coming back to Walsall, he'll want to play, I would think. I would have thought so. And I think we said just before we came on air, Carl McAllister, he's got 4 goals, 3 assists, but he went off on Saturday, so it's not sure whether he's going to be fit to play.
No, it'd be touch and go whether he's fit, but it's interesting. He still did a post-match interview after the 2 goals, so I don't know very much about that. I wasn't there on Saturday, so I can't really comment too much. And the highlights I've seen don't really suggest what happened, so it's hard to say.
Okay. Jacob Maddox, he's another player that was at Walsall last season. A lot of Walsall fans were disappointed that he was released. He definitely got some quality, but just whether he gives enough. What's your opinion of him?
Again, a player we've not seen a lot of, to be honest, Simon. No, he played on Saturday, but again, other than that, he's been intermittent. He's played little bits and pieces. He's looked very creative when he's come on. And when I saw him at Walsall last season, I thought he was very good.
Yeah, I think he's one of those. He's definitely got some ability. I think maybe it's an effort thing. Because he didn't play regularly for Walsall, and if he's not playing regularly for you guys, maybe he's not impressing enough in training and putting enough effort in. Maybe that's what it is.
It's possible, but as a Chelsea kid, you'd think he would have been instilled at a young age.
You would hope so.
Yeah, so, and he played well for Cheltenham when he played for Cheltenham a few years ago. But I think, again, it's that ability, that attribute. Once an academy player, always an academy player. You almost feel you're too good for a League Two team sometimes. And that could be possible with Jacob Maddox,
Yeah, I think there's probably a point there. I think sort of emotionally, when you think you're a Premier player and then you've gone down the levels, you're not going to graft the same as perhaps a Troy Deeney would, who's sort of a guy who's come off the building site to play football.
Absolutely. But you've also got to Jacob Maddox. He went to Portugal for a time. He was at Victor Guimaraes. Or however you say it, but but he's had to work himself back into English football, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think if he's going to make it, he's going to be consistent and show that quality consistency. We've both seen that he has got quality. It's just whether it's how well he applies himself.
Absolutely.
Thinking about the game on Saturday, form-wise, you're actually in better form than we are. You've got 7 points in the last 5 games. We've only got 5. In those 5 games, the glory of beating Gillingham 4-1 is quite nice, but the memory of losing 4-0 away to Sutton, it smarts a little bit. And last time out in the league, Harrogate, we absolutely dominated Harrogate and lost 1-0. That was so hard to take. For yourselves, Grimsby on Saturday, you were 2-0 up at half time. I think Dom that got sent off?
That was in the Tranmere game. That was the game before.
Tranmere game, that's it. I know against Grimsby, wasn't it? Against Grimsby.
He got a yellow card in the 6th minute again.
Yeah, he got a second yellow and went off, didn't he?
Not on Saturday. That was the previous game.
How was it? I'm getting mixed up then. I am old. I'm old. I make mistakes.
Don't worry.
But yeah, sort of 2-0 up to only get a point out. That was disappointing.
Oh, definitely. I saw the back end of it, and when I picked it up, it was they'd literally just scored Grimsby. But watching the highlights, to be 2-0 up at half time and being absolutely flying to take a point was sickening in a sense, but almost at least it wasn't another loss. I think at least we held on.
It's keep adding those points to the table, isn't it? I think Grimsby are definitely a team that do that, aren't they? They've got a very positive mindset and they keep going, don't they?
Since they've had Ben Davis and Sean Pearson go in there, yes, absolutely. With the Morecambe game, they were 2-0 down at half time, and inside a minute of the second half, it was 2-2. So we had to be wary of that.
Yeah.
And I think Grimsby over the years have proven themselves to be a never say die attitude team with Paul Hurst. I know he's not there now, but even so, I think that's something in the Lincolnshire air.
I think it's I say coming up from non-league and that sort of stuff, that winning mentality is still in there, and I think that's part of the problem with Walsall. I think since coming down from League One, we're not used to winning games, and the biggest concern at the moment for Walsall is that we don't look capable of going on a winning run, and that is absolutely what we need if we're going to get back into the top half of the table. So that's tough. That's tough at the moment. I think when your players are coming back, you should be getting yourself to safety quite nicely, I would hope.
Hopefully, but David Horseman's been saying this all season. When players come back, we'll fly at the league and it'll be all rosy and sunny. Well, I'm not sure. Till we actually see the points on the board, I wouldn't like to make a comment on that necessarily. I think 2 points come, then we can say whether he's right or wrong for saying that.
Yeah. What do you think of Horseman as a manager?
I personally think when he came in, he looked okay. He looked quite good, but I'm starting to go off him quite quickly. I think the problem is he keeps saying the same things over and over again in pre and post match interviews. He keeps saying, once the players are back, we'll fly up the league. And
you can't keep hanging your hat on that, can you?
No, absolutely not. And the problem is,
I think we spoke very briefly before going on air about Duncan Ferguson. So he came in as manager and then just didn't get on with Dale Vince, did he? And
No, there was something there. I think when he tried to bring his assistant in from Forfar, he tried to do it underhand. From some of the things I've read, it was all very underhand, and it was almost like Rob Edwards being snatched away from us to Watford. It was all very snake-like, and I think Dale, after having that with Watford, was going to clamp that out immediately if a manager of his tried to do something like that, and that's how it appeared. So I wonder if something like that was brewing away in the background.
It might be. I can't imagine many people sort of having a go at Duncan Ferguson. He's quite an imposing figure.
Oh, absolutely. You wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley, would you?
You wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to upset him anyway. I wouldn't want to upset him. Yeah, coming on to Saturday. My regular haunt before the game on Saturday, before home games, is Smash Burgers, and they've gone off 50% off with Uber Eats, which is ends on Thursday. Last day's Thursday, but I'll be in there before the game, so I'll be in there from 1 o'clock. We've got the Christmas toy appeal. That's not yet. That's 16th of December for the Tranmere game at home. So that's one that's coming up. As far as team news for Forest Green, are you going to be able to patch a team together?
I think we'll be able to patch something together, Simon. Whether it'll be a fully strength side, I don't know. But the suggestions are people like Ryan Innes and John Garrett may be available for some of it for the first time in a few weeks. And the suggestion might be Luke Daniels may be available. So if what David Horseman's been saying is true, that they should be available for Saturday, well, then we might have a few more than we might have done against Grimsby, but we'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition or not.
Yeah, who was the keeper that played against us in the EFL Trophy? He did quite well, didn't he?
Jamie Searle at Swansea and Barnsley. Well, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I don't know why we haven't seen more of him. He's been fantastic in the trophy games and then hasn't had a sniff in the league.
Funny one, isn't he? Funny one. Our keeper, Owen Evans, is getting quite a lot of criticism. The goal he conceded against Harrogate was very poor, really. And the first goal he conceded against Mansfield, at Mansfield, again, there was a lot of criticism of the whole of the defence for that, but he did sort of like pat a cake at the ball away a couple of times and instead of just grabbing hold of it. So I think statistically, I don't like saying this, statistically, I think he's the worst keeper in League Two.
Possibly. I think Owen Evans, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, he was at Cheltenham and he was relatively good. But I think, again, he's somebody who's struggled to really hit the heights he once was again.
Yeah. Well, he won the league with Cheltenham, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And seeing highlights of him for performances of yourselves this season, he has really struggled to match the standards of last season even. He was better last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did well last season. I think, in fairness to him, there's been quite a lot of disruption ahead of him. So I think if you've got a solid back three or a solid back four in front of you, that you've got a much better chance of getting clean sheets and less shots are going to be coming in. So maybe his success at Cheltenham, maybe he was protected quite well. He does come out with some very good saves, but it's still a struggle. I think at the back for Walsall, we started the season with 3 at the back, but we're likely to continue with 4 at the back. Donovan Daniels will be back from his international duty. He scored on international duty, which is quite nice. Alongside him, that could be one of 2 players. We've got Dave Akagbu, who's on loan from Stoke, very inexperienced young player, but been doing okay. And then in contrast, Rolin Mayonnaise, he's coming back from injury. It could be that he gets a start. That would be a much better experienced backline if he's in there. At right back, Joe Riley, he's been struggling with an injury. So I think Joe Folks, the young player, had 2 years on loan at Kidderminster. He's looking for more game time and looked quite impressive when he's come on recently in the EFL. And Gordon, he's off on international duty as well on the left side. He's one of the unsung heroes of the season, really. He's doing well. Ryan Stirk and Oisin McKenty are likely to be in the middle. And then probably an attacking 3 with Tom Knowles, the Hutch, and then maybe, just maybe, Ronan Mayer, the youngster, is going to get a start. Partly due to injuries and not having many people to play up front. But Ronan Mayer, Ram, they call him, it could be that he gets his first start for a considerable time. He did start against Shrewsbury in the EFL Trophy, but as far as starts in the league, I think that would be his first start if that happens. Up front, DJ on his own is a concern. In some ways, I'd like us to go 4-4-2 and go Jamil, Matt and Danny Johnson. But Matt Sadler, the Walsall manager, doesn't seem to want to play Matt or DJ. And it's only because Freddie Draper has got a major injury that DJ has got back in the team. The first game, he put Douglas James Taylor in instead of DJ, that was against Harrogate, and we dominated the game. Douglas James Taylor had 70 minutes on the pitch and didn't get a shot away, even though we dominated the game. But saying that, Danny Johnson had 25 minutes and he didn't either. But we had lots of shots from midfield that were wayward, really. I think 26 shots, only 3 on target. So Walsall, in a bit of a mess at the minute, really. And with the FA Cup game coming up as well, Walsall are away to Alfreton. It's another TV game and should be a game, if we can avoid bananas, we should get through to the 3rd round. It's a bit tougher for you guys, I think. You've got Blackpool away, haven't you?
Yeah, that will be a tough game, but I don't see any reason why we can't go up there and have a good go. It's FA Cup. The magic of the cup is still very much alive, I think.
Yeah.
And I think, why can't we go and test ourselves against a decent, well, I would say championship team on paper? Big ground, big opportunity.
They say they think you can ignore the league and just go and have fun, can't you? And the pressures being sort of down near the bottom, the pressures are on every week. So a cup game is a chance to just let it go free a bit, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We've done that in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and we've got 3 as a result of that. So yeah, I think we've almost had that relaxed mentality in that competition. And I think if we can go to Blackpool and give a good account of ourselves, hopefully we'll start to show people that we're not just the bottom end League 2 side.
That's it. I think as well, it's much needed Wonga as well, isn't it? If you get into the 3rd round and sort of a big tie in the 3rd round, could be a real big money spinner for either club or for both of us.
Absolutely. I think money at this level is so important. We've almost got a split league this year in League Two. You've got your sides like your Salfords, your Notts Counties, your Wrexhams, your Mansfield, who have got money. And people class Forest Green as part of that kind of big four, big five, but we're actually not. We've got a big name owner in Dale Vince, but I don't think the money's there as much as people would think it is.
No. And the final thing I want to mention before we get a prediction out of you, managers, they're all dropping out all over the place. We see Adams has moved on from Morecambe now. That's the latest. So,
absolutely.
Some crazy madness. I think that there's a few questioning Matt Sadler being sort of a homegrown appointment, as it were, former player and a coach for the last couple of years. It's one of those that it seems like a good appointment, but the pressure soon comes if things aren't going too well. And at the moment, Walsall are needing a bit of inspiration and a couple of wins. So is that going to come on Saturday against Forest Green? We're hoping so. What do you think?
I think it'll be. We usually play quite well up at the best drop. It's been a happy hunting ground in the last 2 games, but before that we struggled. I think we got 1 point from 3 or 4 visits. I think Saturday will be a tough game, but I think it might just be a steal and grab for either side. So I know 1-0.
1-0 either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably not far off there. I think it'd be nice for Walsall to get a win going into the Alfreton game. Try and get that magical run of wins. Be nice.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough at the moment. I think last 5 years being a Walsall fan is testing the faith.
Yeah, more pain than probably joy, as your motto suggests.
Yeah. Oh, I was talking to somebody about the importance of joy in your life, and when a goal scored for your team to score a goal, that joy, there's just no parallel for that. That's just pure elation. We just want a bit more of it, really, and particularly after you've endured so much pain. The elation of a goal is that true joy to experience that live. There's not many things that sort of top that.
No, I think you're right, but it's only 10 years ago. I remember watching highlights of Walsall when you were top in League One, and it's just so hard to see sides like yourselves who were so formidable at one time struggling in a sense. Yeah. I know you're higher up the league than us, but
not much.
No, but to see you in League Two is such a shame because you should have been in the Championship 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's it. In 2003, there we were. First match of the season, we won 4-1 against the Albion, and we were top of the league. And how quickly that all fell apart. And
but even as recent as 2014, I was thinking with Dean Smith when you were flying.
Well, that's it. We should have won the league. We were up there in promotion slots, and Brentford pulled him away. And Sean O'Driscoll was the guy everybody wanted to replace him. He came in, and for the first few games, everything went okay. But then when things started to go south, he didn't want to change anything. And it fell apart, and we handed it to Burton, and that was a disappointing one.
Yeah, heartbreaking. I think that's what's killed you almost, Simon, that season, and it kills sides to lose things in that way. And I think a lot of sides look at the sides who have come out the Premier League who have never gone back.
Yeah, well, I think we can. There's no guarantees, but I mean, if Dean Smith had stayed at Walsall that season, we would have got promoted and we would have been in the Championship.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the ground's absolutely purpose for that. I think it could be extended. I've always thought whether you'd do double tier all the way round, but you certainly could have looked at something to really sustain yourself as a good Championship team.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got to get in the Championship and then stay there, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they can extend you've got the double tier in the home end and the facility to double tier in the away end. So when you've got a big level of support, a double tier there, it obviously sort of helped to swell the attendance. Good. Well, Evan, that's been great getting you on, and good luck for the rest of the season, but not so much for the.
No, not for Saturday. No,
but no. But we'll see. We'll see. I think my prediction, is probably similar to yours. I think probably a narrow victory. If Walsall could get a clean sheet, that would be a miracle. So I think probably 2-1 Walsall is my. We go 2-1.
Yeah.
There we go. And more joy and less pain.
Yeah.
We're hoping so. Right then, champion. Cheers, matey.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you.